Hey guys, no warning for this video, so we can get right to it. Now, you may be wondering why I'm doing a speed paint again after I had stopped. And the reason why is because it's time to introduce two new player characters! So, to have them not left out, I'm going to be giving them personalized art too. The two new characters that you will meet are Elora Crow and Emmett Derringer. But before I start on their tutorials, I need to explain something. These two will not be joining the main group immediately after their tutorial videos. So, as much as we all want to see these newbies show up after some Babadook fuckery, that won't be happening. Because in real life, these new PCs actually showed up when Atlantis was in the middle of Season 2. I, however, decided to have the characters show up in the past during Season 1 events in game time. So basically, these two will be part of the Atlantis division, but exploring their own personal route and events parallel to the main team. Basically being a Side B or Team B that doesn't show up with Team A until the Season 2 finale. I am just introducing them all to you now so then it can make sense with the story flow. With that in mind, we can get started with the first tutorial of Team B, Elora Crow, played by Mir.
Wait a minute, Kelsey? Mir's already a player. She plays Adelaide.
Yes, I know. See, this may be something that people don't agree with, but I allowed Mir to play two characters. I will start by saying that everyone in the game was okay with this, and it was only allowed under the condition that Mir understood that I wouldn't be planning any big personal story moments for Elora, which Mir was fine with because she only had one reason to bring in Elora, and that reason was Emmett's player. Mir is good friends with Emmett's player and didn't want them to be left alone with their character being the only new one, since it can often feel isolating to come in being the newbie around a group that has already built up relationships with each other. Which I understood and I was fine with. It gave Emmett a companion, and I trusted Mir to play two characters since she's also a GM. And we GMs play a lot of characters. But anyways, on to Elora's story. Elora Crow is the youngest born daughter to the Crow family. She is gentle, soft-spoken, and an incredibly sweet young lady, with big dreams of wanting to be a performer as she loves to sing and play music. But there is something that keeps her back, and it's her mother that treats her as if she were a baby. You see, Elora was born albino and blind. Her father, a rich businessman, has treated her like a burden with her special needs. Her eldest brother wasn't the worst, it's sometimes helping to curb their father's ire, but he still also went about ignoring Elora, leaving her mother to constantly fret and take care of Elora, which may have been fine when she was younger, but her mother never let up, even as Elora grew and found herself capable. She wasn't sure when she gave up trying to convince her mother, but after years and years of hearing all her mother's worries and remarks that infantilized her, she just stopped and accepted her life as this doll, to be taken care of. She played along, not wanting her father's aggression, not wanting her brother's condescending remarks, and just not wanting to worry her mother or hear those remarks again. And so her life is here, in this big city. She wakes up like usual, feeling her soft cotton sheets, hearing the birds and cars outside her window, and in this steady routine, she hears the footsteps of her mother making her way to her room. Her mother helps her down the stairs, even though she can do that on her own, and they have breakfast. As they eat, it's decided that they'll go out for some fresh air today and head to the park. Elora loved the park. It was her stage. As they set up a blanket in the grass, Elora would take her guitar and she would strum a comforting melody as she sang. Her voice is beautiful, making people stop and listen, giving her quiet claps, and some misunderstanding their situation would leave her money placed on her guitar case. It was all as usual, except today she heard the shouts of someone talking about auditions? Apparently, there were auditions being held at a new company nearby, looking for unheard talent. This immediately got Elora's attention, but her mother shot it down, stating how they'd only use her, and she then brought up some ridiculous worries over her stamina. So, Elora politely agreed with her mother and dropped the subject. But, secretly, she didn't let go of that drive burning inside her, so she devised a plan. Once she got home, she told her mother she was tired and was going to go lay down for a nap. Her mother immediately agreed and ushered her to bed. Leaving her room, she even hears her mother instruct her brother not to be too loud because Elora is sleeping. Except, she's not. Elora then carefully sneaks out of her room onto the fire escape balcony from her window, using her cane and knowledge of her building. Which, by the way, this provided a fun challenge for the player because I described things without any visuals. No setting images and no maps. I made Mir look at just a black screen, and when she asked about it, I said that, well, of course she couldn't see anything. After all, she's blind. Which got Mir to lose her shit for a bit. But anyways, back to the story. She successfully made her way down and begins traversing the streets. Growing up here, she knows the area well. The streets and the sounds memorized in her mind. Elora is able to easily make her way back to the park to speak to the person advertising auditions. Once she learns the address is not far away, she quickly makes her way there. Happily outside the building, she speaks out to someone to make sure it is the right place. The unknown woman bumps into her at first and is rude immediately, but then changes her tone upon realizing that Elora is blind. Elora smiles politely, but part of her is always bothered by that change in people's tones when they learn. In the end, the woman confirms that this is the right location, but she should be careful here. Elora thanks her and assures her that she's fine, taking the warning as just another person being worried about a lost little blind lady and nothing else. Which may have been a mistake. As Elora continues into the building and finds her way to an elevator and up to the correct floor, she is happy to find that she has made it just in time for the last auditions, only her and one other woman being left. Elora ignores the snide remarks from the woman behind her as she goes in and auditions. Singing her heart out, the talent scouts absolutely love her. They are sure of a callback, and Elora leaves the building feeling the happiest she's ever been. She can finally prove herself capable to her mother and maybe finally have a life. She heads back home with her head up high, and not noticing a cold glare that follows her home. Through some very successful stealth rolls, she is able to make it back into her home without being caught, and she sleeps like a baby that night. The next morning, she is called by a woman. Her voice sounds odd at first, as if layered by another, but then it equals out to a polite and happy voice. Elora just reasons it to be her phone acting up and soon becomes too distracted as the woman informs her of her audition, telling her how they all loved her so much and they want to work with her right away. They offer to send a car to pick her up, which Elora tries to deny, saying how she is capable on her own, but they insist, stating how they would like to get her here ASAP. So Elora agrees to it and gives them her address. After some successful lying and more stealth, Elora safely sneaks her way out of her building again and finds her way to a car where a lady calls out to her. She recognizes the lady's voice as the one on the phone, so she strikes up a conversation with her in the car as they drive. The woman is polite, but there is a subtle coldness to her words that Elora picks up on, so she goes quiet, focusing on the car ride, where she notices that it's taking longer than usual to get to the building. Elora starts to fidget in her seat as she asks about it, and the woman just simply explains that she's driving around to avoid traffic. They'll be there soon, which Elora just timidly accepts. It is a busy city after all. But then they park and they start to walk to the building. Elora begins to notice more and more differences. how the ground beneath her feet feels. It was dirt and then stone flooring, but she remembers paved sidewalks, carpet, and then tiled floors. It doesn't sound the same either. It's quiet here, but she remembers the sound of cars and people from before. They don't even go to an elevator, they just go upstairs. Elora begins to feel more and more unsettled, asking the woman where they were. Why is it so quiet? Where are they going? The woman brushes off her concerns and explains everything. How it's just early. How they're going to a different floor. She just explains everything away, but her voice just doesn't sound right. Elora grips onto her cane as she starts to become scared. But she continues to follow, hoping to find an opportunity to sneak away. This is when Elora is led to a door and is ushered to go through. So Elora steps, and as she finds nothing but empty air beneath her cane, her stomach sinks as she feels what has to be an enormous drop before her and immediately turns, only to have an iron-tight grip grab her. Elora screams, asking her what she's doing. Where are they? Let go! Elora tries to fight back, but she finds she can't struggle against this inhumanly strong grip. The woman then speaks, her voice shifting and becoming layered again, until it settles on a voice she recognizes. The rude woman from the auditions. The one that was behind her. Elora can only struggle in wide-eyed shock as the woman states, "That audition was supposed to be in the bag. Was supposed to be mine. But you somehow outdid me? Me? With your little mousy voice?" Elora couldn't help but snap back in disbelief. "This is all because of some stupid audition?" The woman sneered and said, "Shut up! I can't accept that you beat me, a siren, bested by a human. I'll be humiliated." Elora couldn't process what she just said, and she didn't have the time to either, as she felt the grip strongly force her back. And then, Elora found herself in open air, nothing below her feet, and she fell. Elora screamed and flailed her hands out in a desperate attempt to maybe grab onto anything that could save her. But sadly, she couldn't see that there was nothing within her reach. She couldn't see that she was fastly approaching the hard ground of an empty construction site. There was nothing. Until she heard her name called out by someone new. She heard her name in the whipping air, and then suddenly a body colliding with hers and wrapping around her before they made impact with the ground, roughly rolling together to a harsh stop in the dirt. Elora, still terrified, immediately scrambled away from the new person and held up her cane in defense. The woman told her to calm down and that she's here to help. Then Elora realized she's heard this voice before too. She ran into them in front of the building, the one that warned her. Elora wasn't able to get anything out before another impact is heard on the ground near them, and the siren is suddenly there, angrily snarling about getting out of her way. How she must kill Elora. How she can't allow someone with her voice to be in her territory. The mysterious woman just simply told the siren to shut up, and the battle began. Elora had no idea what was happening, and it didn't sound good for this mysterious woman, so she began to frantically search around her before her hand came to a broken glass bottle. She ignored the small cut she got as she heard an impact near her feet. The mysterious woman was thrown away, and now Elora could hear the siren charging for her. In a desperate attempt, once Elora heard her close enough, she swung and slashed out with the bottle, and somehow she rolled a crit, even with her blind penalty. And so, Elora only felt the spray of warm liquid over her face, as now the screaming siren's voice turned into thick wet gurgling, a hand grabbing her for a moment before falling, and a thump is heard near her as the siren fell over, dead. In this moment, Mir, the player, paused and asked me if Elora just slashed her throat, to which I said yes. Yes, she did. Congrats on your first kill, Elora. And then Mir just started screaming. From there, the world moves around Elora in a muffled blur. She learns that this mysterious woman is named Kim, and that supernaturals are real. And now that she knows this and has killed one, she can't go back to a normal life anymore. Kim offers for Elora to join her division, and Elora agrees, if not because of all she just learned, but also because joining this division is still a way to leave home, to leave this life that she's been stuck in like a prisoner, to be around people that won't treat her like a child. And so, Elora joins the Atlantis division, working under the social branch. With that, we've come to the end of Elora's tutorial. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. The next video will be Emmett's tutorial, and that one I am very excited about because of a couple evil GM reasons. But for now, we'll end it here, and until next time, keep your heads above water. Bye!